My name is Kathleen Archambeau, and I'm a third generation San Franciscan. I married my wife 3 times, once in a commitment ceremony at the Oakland Zoo, was affordable. Secondly, in New Zealand, my wife is a Kiwi. In 2014, they legalized gay marriage. So we thought, well, if things get bad here, we can always be in New Zealand. And so we wanted that national protection. We didn't have it at the time. And we also got married in 2008 at San Francisco City Hall when it was legal. And then a couple months later, they reversed it in the state of California. So it's been a rocky road. And the whole time I was dating women, I was in the closet at work and throughout most of my life. Throughout most of the rest of my life, I was in the closet because it was so dangerous, Bianca, to be an out lesbian. You could lose your job, you could lose your friends, you could lose your housing. You would never have children if you wanted them. You could lose your children. So it was a really hard time to be openly LGBTQ. And you know what? I don't think it's particularly easy now. You know, one time I was talking to my boss, and the secretary to the department had told everyone in the building that I was a lesbian. And I was only out to my little team, not to the whole building. And so it became a big controversy. And so my boss said, well, he said, what you do in your personal life is your personal business. And I said, Rick, that sounds very progressive, but every Monday morning when we come into work, everybody says, what'd you do on the weekend? What'd you do? And you talk about your son and your wife. And I said, and what am I supposed to say? I went to the movies. I went out to dinner. I went to a dance, when it was really we. So this whole idea, like in the military, of don't ask, don't tell. It's okay if you're gay, just don't tell anybody. Well, that's really constraining. And it really doesn't let me bring my whole self to work, to the military, to marriage, to the community, to anything. So obviously with these books, I'm now out to the whole wide world, because anybody can Google my name and know that I'm a lesbian. And when I was writing these books, I really had to give a lot of thought to, do I want to be that out? I decided I did, that it was a political act to be out, and to be out in print. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to tell people being LGBTQ is not a disease. It's not a crime. It's not an illness. It can be a vibrant, incredible way to live out your truth. So I sought out people who were incredibly self-actualized, not just successful, but self-actualized. And they had full lives. Some were parents, some were married, some were Tony Award winners, some were Academy Award nominees. And I wanted them to give the message, if you were speaking to a young, queer, questioning kid, what would be your advice? So every one of them answered that question. And my old Irish friend from Dublin, who's 83 years old and straight and married with 2 kids, she said she read it and she was inspired. And that's my hope, that it's universally accessible.
I lived in San Francisco where I could be completely out to my neighbors, my friends, etc. But at work, I always kept a cardboard face because it wasn't safe and it wasn't equal, and there weren't domestic partner benefits, and there weren't equal pay, and there weren't any of those things.
You know, the reason you have a wedding is so that you have the support of your friends and family, and they're all acknowledging you as a couple. And there's something absolutely phenomenal about that, which is why I and others fought so hard for marriage equality. And we won, finally. We won in 2015 with the Supreme Court decision, June 26, 2015. And we won again in 2022 with the passage of the Respect for Marriage Act, which enshrined the rights of LGBTQ marriages and interracial marriages. I was a founding member of the San Francisco Public Library James Hormel LGBTQ Center. So it's got the largest collection of LGBTQ books, and anybody can get a San Francisco Public Library card and withdraw those books. So books have always been really important to me because I think they reach way beyond me. I'm also on the board of directors of the Women's National Book Association. And I serve on that board because it's all about bringing books and literacy to underserved communities all over the Bay Area. In the beginning, it was like you would get a brown paper bag, and inside the brown paper bag would be a lesbian or gay newspaper because it was so secretive. Or you would be a member of the Human Rights Campaign, which is about equal rights and politics, and you would get their magazine in a brown paper bag, you know, so that no one would know that you were openly LGBTQ. So that's come a long way. And it turns out, because of my book, one of my cousin's sons was gay, and he came out to me, but he didn't come out to his parents. And they came to one of my readings at the Ferry Building at Book Passages, and they bought the book. And I think it really helped them because several years later, their son was able to come out to them, and they completely embraced him and his partner. And they did a 180 turnaround because they were staunch Irish Catholics. So in the school year of 22-23, schools have listed 1,477 instances of individual books being banned. They found that 26% of the book bans affected LGBTQ titles. The only group more than that were the people of color. And you would be amazed at the books that are banned. It's real, and books are really the conduit to freedom. And our rights as LGBTQ people, our rights as people of color. All of you, if you wrote a book, all three of you would be banned. I want to reflect back on my life, and I want to think I've made a positive difference, whether in the world or in my small world. however I have done that. And I feel, you know, I'm not young. I'm 70, I'll be 74 next Tuesday. And so you do start to think about what have you done with your one wild and precious life, as Mary Oliver says. And I think while I feel I have a lot more years to live, and I want to live a lot more years because there's more I want to do, I feel that I've lived a good life and I've made life better for people along the way in my life, whether they were people I knew intimately or just the nurse at the station or the grocery store clerk or some random bus driver, you know?